some of the things related to this part of the Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is the only one when it comes to His names and attributes. Nothing is the like of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He's the Al-Heer, the Al-Seer. And it's important that we get the Aqeedah part, the belief part, correct and sound. And then after that we get to learn these names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how to be affected by these names and attributes, and how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by them, memorizing them, understanding the meaning of them, and acting according to them. But since this is the subject of our Aqeedah, so it's more related to matters of belief. Why? Because the Ummah split in many things, one of which in the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, regarding to believing in it, or distorting the names and attributes and so on. So the people of Al-Sunnah, they wrote books, they mentioned these matters of Aqeedah based on the Quran and the Sunnah, the way this Aqeedah or this belief was present at the time of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. So it's very important that we always return things back to the time of the Prophet ﷺ, to the time of the rightly guided Khalifa after the Prophet ﷺ and the early generations of Islam. As the Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith about the fact that this ummah would split, when he was asked about this one saved sect, the Prophet ﷺ said, what me and my companions are on today. So it's not a group with Amir, with some pledges to be given. It's no such a thing, of course. It's the way of that the Muslim should understand this religion. So it's incumbent on every Muslim, obligatory on every Muslim, that we always refer back things to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, the way it was understood then, and the way it was applied then, and one of which is matters of belief. He talked after that about some of the different names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regarding to Ulum, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is over His creation. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Ar-Rahmanu al-Arsh istawa, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rose over His throne. As Imam Malik rahimahullah, when he was asked about this, he said that al-istiwa ma'lum, meaning that it's known, it's Arabic language, the meaning of it is very clear, which al-istiwa means rose over. And al-iman bihi wajib, to believe in it is wajib, it's mandatory, it's obligatory because this is the Quran. And al-kayf majhul, how that is majhul, it's not known, we do not know it. So we don't need to go further than this. We know the meaning of it, we believe in it. And he said, to ask about it is bid'ah, is innovation in the religion, to ask about how it is, how the being of the istiwa and so on. And this is not something that the Sahaba they asked, but they understood it very well. So the same thing with all the attributes of Allah. There's no need to differentiate between some names and attributes of Allah and some not, like some did. So all of them will believe in all the names of Allah, all the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if it's mentioned in the Quran or in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And we say, like as Imam Malik rahimahullah, he said, we believe in it, we know the meaning of it, because there's a very dangerous deviation, and they are called al-Mufawwidah. Al-Mufawwidah are the group of people where they would say, Allahu A'lam, Allah knows best what these names and attributes means. That's very dangerous. There's no such a thing. Of course, Allah knows best, but the Quran is Arabic, and the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His attributes is with meanings. So we know the meanings of it. What we need to make tafweed of, what the tafweed meaning when you say Allah knows best, what we don't have the knowledge of is the kayf, is how. How these names and attributes, Allah knows best. We do not know. There's nothing in the Quran and the Sunnah that talks about it. But what's the meanings of it? It's very clear. It's the meaning, but without resemblance and without saying that this is similar to any of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without denying it, without distorting it, and so on. So I would skip some of these because of we can briefly talk about them inshallah ta'ala, but then we talk about معنى قولي عليه السلام في الأسماء الحسنى من أحصاها دخل الجنة. The meaning of the Prophet ﷺ saying in the Asma al-Husna, the beautiful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, من أحصاها دخل الجنة. What is the meaning of من أحصاها دخل الجنة? دخل الجنة means he will enter Jannah. So whoever do something with regards to the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will enter Jannah. What is this? أحصاها means what? أحصاها linguistically can mean many things. So what does it exactly mean? This is what he answers here. He says, قد فسر ذلك بمعاني منها حفظها ودعاء الله بها والثناء عليه. To memorize it, to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by these names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by his names. So one of the ways to fulfill this hadith is to memorize the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can we do this? The famous hadith which is in Sunnah al-Tirmidhi, it's a weak hadith. It has all the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala listed in one hadith. It's a weak hadith, but most of these names is mentioned in the Quran. So this is something that you can use to know the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and basically by reading the Quran and the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and every name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you come across, you know it, you understand it, you memorize it, and you use it in your dua. And the dua of the Prophet ﷺ would have these names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Dhal Jalali wal Ikram, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, and so on. Also he says, وَمِنْهَا أَمَّا كَانَ يَسُوغُ الْاِقْتِدَاءُ بِهِ كَالرَّحِيمِ وَالْكَرِيمِ فَيُمَرِّنُ الْعَبْدُ نَفْسَهُ عَلَى أَنْ يَصِحَّ لَهُ الْاِقْتِصَافُ بِهَا فِيمَا يَلِيقُ بِهِ. Some of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that as human beings we need to have according to how human nature we have with our deficiencies, we need to imitate these attributes. Like the name Ar-Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ar-Rahim, most merciful. We have mercy in us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created mercy in every human being. So we need to follow the same way when it comes to the attribute as human beings with our deficiencies, because our mercy, of course, is nothing compared to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to fulfill that in our actions. We need to have mercy. We need to be merciful towards one another. And there are verses in the Quran that talks about this. Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, مَنْ لَا يَرْحَمْ لَا يُرْحَمْ. Whoever does not have mercy on others, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not have mercy on him. Right? And Al-Kareem, for example. Al-Kareem is the most generous. And the same thing, a human being should be generous. But of course, nothing is the like of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So every time you go by one of these names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that as human beings, we have not the like of it, right? But we have, if it's correct to say that, common in the meaning, but not in what this name and the essence of it, right? So we're supposed to be generous, we're supposed to be merciful, we're supposed to be, many of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to have also the same quality but not the same as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, so you train yourself that you will be, this will be your attribute, that you have these attributes in you according to your human nature and according to our deficiencies, and nothing is the like of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the things with this is al-jaza' min jins al-amal, that the reward is given from the same sort of deed that we do. You have mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have mercy on you. You're generous, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be generous with you. You forgive others, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. في حادثة الإفك, when some people, they talked about Aisha, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he used to give them charity before, like Mustah ibn Athatha, right? And when he talked about Aisha, this person, in a negative way, so Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu stopped giving him charity, which is a normal thing. That's his daughter and the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, a person saying things like this, which is a lie. And with all of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these verses in Surah An-Nur, reminding Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and the like of him that he should فَلْيَعْفُ وَلْيَصْفَحْ, that he should pardon and he should forgive, and then reminding them, أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Don't you love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you? So when someone will do something to you, we should remember that we are also sinners. And if the human being has the quality of al-insaf, to be fair, most of our problems will be solved. But the problem is, we are far away from being fair. We would do the same thing like others do to us, right? And we would defend ourselves and we would wish people would forgive us and so on, but when it happened to us, we become very stiff and we would never forgive and so on. So a person learning the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be the most among the human beings that is forgiving. Because when we look at the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is the most forgiver, no matter how much evil a person committed, if he turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, with repentance and regretting the sin, having the intentions never to commit it again, and quitting the sin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives. And even if the person committed so many. So what is the effect of that in our life? Is that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. And also to have this attribute in us, that we should forgive one another. Not to wait for the slightest mistake and to get on one another, but instead is to forgive and to pardon. And this is the effect of the names and attributes of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is shakur. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is grateful when He is the most rich. And He does not need to be grateful because of a benefit, right? But He subhanahu wa ta'ala has the perfect names and attributes. So if you are forgiving others, this will be dealt with the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is al-shakur. He is the one that is grateful to His slaves when He is in no need of them. So He would reward them from the same sort of deed that they did. So He would forgive them. And we know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the authentic hadith about the man that used to give loans to others, to those who are in need. And if someone would come at the time of paying back the loan and he would say that I don't have the money, he would forgive him. He would not take anything from him. When this person died, this act was the reason for him to enter Jannah. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is shakur. Because as it's mentioned in the hadith, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He subhanahu wa ta'ala will be more when it comes to the reward than this person. If he had the mercy towards others, if he was forgiving others, then he is forgiven too. So this is one of the acts of worship that a person can elevate himself into the highest levels. When you go after these names and attributes of Allah, and you want this attribute for you to be affected by it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, apply that in your life with your deficiency as a human being. To be generous, to be kind, to forgive, and so on. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the person, of course, not the like of it, but nothing that a person can ever imagine. So this is with these names. So this is a subject that we can go into details of it. And this is maybe a project that one of us can do. What are these names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have as human beings, with our deficiencies as human beings? We can be attributed with some of these attributes. What are they? And we follow that one after the other, and these are some of the deeds that we need to apply in our life. And you would find it in the most perfect way in the life of the Prophet ﷺ, to have the best manners whatsoever. And with regards to the names, that it's only or exclusive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Al-Jabbar, Al-Azim, Al-Mutakabbir, right? Then the human being, the abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, should believe in it and humble himself to it, and of course to be far away from being having these attributes, because it's exclusive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Kibr means arrogance, right? To the human level, this is an evil act. It is not permissible for us to have pride in the negative way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of His names is Al-Mutakabbir. This is not a negative attribute, this is a perfect attribute, because He's the creator of the heavens and earth. So no one is the like of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if somebody would have this attribute with the deficiencies of the human beings, he is to be punished. He will not even enter Jannah if he has the weight of a mustard seed of kibr or pride in his heart. Because this is exclusive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The same thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Jabbar. I'm not sure exactly the English word for it, but He is the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That no one can oppose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whatsoever. But we as human beings, we should humble ourselves. So some of these attributes, the more the person humbles himself, the more he's elevated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because these attributes is exclusive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he continued with what some of us said earlier, وَمَا كَانَ فِيهِ مَعْنَى الْوَعْدِ كَالْغَفُورِ الشَّكُورِ الْعَفُوُّ الرَّؤُوفُ الْحَلِيمُ الْجَوَادُ الْكَرِيمُ فَلْيَقِفْ مِنْهُ عِنْدَ الطَّمَعِ وَالرَّغْبَةِ. These attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has a promise in it, right? Like Al-Ghafur, Al-Shakur, Al-Afu, the one that pardons, Al-Ra'uf Al-Halim, the forbearing. And that means He does not punish right after the sin. He gives time, right, for people to repent and for people to change and so on. Al-Jawad, the most generous. Al-Karim, the most generous, right? You should, when you get across these attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you want to be subjected to these attributes of Allah. You want the effect of that in you. You want the forgiveness from Allah. You want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to deal with you with this attribute of being a-shakur, the most grateful. And that's why, as Shaykh said, rahimahullah, he said that if you don't, this is a very important meaning, if you don't feel good as a result of the good deeds, right, then you should accuse yourself. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is shakur. If you are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and it does not make you feel good, then there is something wrong with you. There's sins, you need to repent to Allah, you need to fix your deeds and so on, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is shakur. That means definitely you will have inside of you the happiness of this life and the hereafter. You will get the contentment and the tranquility, the meanings of happiness that no human being can ever taste unless they are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the effect of the name Ash-Shakur, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is grateful to His slaves. Although, if we are steadfast on the deen of Islam in this life, without anything in this life, this is worth it because we're seeking the rewards in the hereafter. And we should not seek the rewards in this life. But definitely it will be there. And it has to come. And the person has to be tested and so on because of the effect of the name of Ash-Shakur. And to always, this is like the name Al-Halim, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most forbearing. That how many sins we commit, and still Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us time and give us rizq and give us ability to worship Him subhanahu wa ta'ala and did not deprive us from being obedient to Him and things like this. This by itself increase the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hearts, of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the time. Compare that to the human beings. They don't have this quality whatsoever, and we need to have this, and so on. وما كان فيه معنى الوعيد كعزيز الانتقام شديد العقاب سريع الحساب فليقف منه عند الخشية والله. And the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has al-wa'id, the punishment, right? That brings the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, هو العزيز الانتقام, that He is the Almighty and He is the one that revenges. شديد العقاب, the severe punishment. سريع الحساب, He is fast in reckoning. So how the person would take these attributes with fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such a beautiful also act of worship, right? I was talking yesterday with the 5th graders about this, because sometimes people would say the fear is not a pleasant feeling to the people of the dunya. Fear is something that you don't want to have. You run away from fear. And then we say we have to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is that a non-pleasant feeling? No, this is the Jannah of this world. For a person to have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And people in this life, they have fears anyway. And from the same concept, we can say if fear is a negative thing and we should not have it and so on, then let someone commit crimes. And if he knows that the authority is after him and they're coming to him and they're about to break the door and enter, and he has fear in him and he's terrified, so we tell him, oh, we feel bad for you, right? So just let's cancel the justice system and there's no need for police or anything like that. Just do whatever you want because we really feel bad for you. We don't want you to be afraid. It will be so benefiting for that person if he has that fear, right? Before he committed the crime, so that would deter him from committing the crime. So in this dunya, people would find this with the mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the human being, that fear isn't such a good thing. You fear disease, so you take the means to protect yourself. If you don't have this fear, you might die the next day. Play with fire, you do all kinds of things, you play with the lion when he comes, and he eats you, right? So the fear has to be there to protect you. So the same thing, since we said that anything that we have in this life, you would have also the resemblance of it when it comes to matters of ibadah. So we fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to be living in a terrifying state, but to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to stay away from what is haram, from what is evil, to receive this tranquility and the peace and so on, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised the believers. ومنها شهود العبد إياها وإعطاؤها حقها معرفة وعبودية. We talked about this before, that we need to witness these attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and given it its rights, knowledge-wise and ubudiyya-wise. We need to witness always these attributes of Allah in everything that happens around us, physically or in actions or things that happen to us. You would see that anything that happened to you as a person is meant to be by the qadr of Allah to fulfill these different types of wishes. And you would see the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our life. So this act of worship of always constantly witnessing the wisdom of Allah, witnessing the mercy of Allah, witnessing all these attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, من شهد علو الله تعالى على خلقه وفوقيته عليه واستواءه على عرشه دائما من خلقه مع إحاطته بهم علما وقدرة وغير ذلك. So the knowledge of knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is over His creation, and He is over His throne subhanahu wa ta'ala, and at the same time encompassing all of His creation with His knowledge and His power, that He's with His creation with His knowledge and power and so on, and He is at the same time, He's over His creation and so on. So having this knowledge, وَتَعَبَّدَ بِمُقْتَضَى هَذِهِ الصِّفَةِ, then you would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a result of believing in this attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, بحيث يصير لقلبه صمدا يعرج إليه مناجيا له مطلقا واقفا بين يديه وقوف العبد الذليل بين يدي الملك العزيز. So the heart, when he has this in him, this belief, he would witness the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He is as-Samad. As-Samad is the one that all the creation of Allah turns to in need. And he would stand as an obedient slave in front of the owner of all things, the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he would witness the human being that every word, لأن كلمه وعمله صاعد إليه معروض عليه, that your words, your actions goes up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and will be presented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you would find yourself being shy that your words and your actions will go up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it has what is a sin, as he says, فيشعر بأن كلمه وعمله صاعد إليه معروض عليه فيستحي أن يصعد إليه من كلمه وعمله ما يخزيه ويفضحه هنالك. That he will be afraid and having the shyness that these words and these actions would expose the person in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it's all full of sins and so on. ويشهد نزول الأمر, and you also witness the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coming down. والمراسيم الإلهية إلى أقطار العوالم كل وقت بأنواع التدبير والتصرف من الإماتة والإحياء والإعزاز والإذلال والخفض والرفع والعطاء والمنع وكشف البلاء وإرساله ومداولة الأيام بين الناس إلى غير ذلك من التصرفات في المملكة التي لا تصرف فيها سواه. And also when you witness this علو and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is over His creation, everything is coming down from His decree subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all the different things that happens in His creation subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it's life and death, and someone is elevated and someone is put down and someone is humiliated and someone gets honor, and people dying and living and getting being born, and those who are given and those who are deprived, and the things that happens every day. And all of that is by the tadbir of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is coming down to the human beings, and how the day is changing the people, and the rise of nations and the fall of others, and the tyrants, they are humiliated, and the oppressor is being left to be oppressing others for a limited time, of course. Witnessing all of this, that it happens by the wisdom of Allah, by the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing happens without the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why when a person would see all of this and witness all of this, he would not feel other than Allah, he wouldn't put his trust on other than Allah, because he would see and witness that even the oppressors, the disbelievers, all of these evil things that happens, they happen by the decree of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that decreed for them to do this, for meanings of ubudiyyah and worship of Allah to be there and to arise in the hearts of the believers. Where sabr would be patience if there is no problems and trials and so on. Where is the jihad? Where is the struggle? Where is the different meanings of ubudiyyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And everything is like a Jannah. So there has to be these meanings of ubudiyyah, of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you witness the perfect wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the dunya now in your eyes is not about being physically comfortable or eating or drinking or the things that people are fighting over and running after in this world. The dunya to you becomes, this is the maidan, or this is the field of the rewards that you need to get as fulfilling these different meanings of ubudiyyah. So you don't really care if you're rich or you're poor, if you're suffering or you're not suffering, or whatever there is, because you witness the most wise subhanahu wa ta'ala testing each human being with whatever comes from them, the matters of ubudiyyah, to worship Allah, because you're only here for a temporary time. Everybody shall return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when really people think that Allah had been pleased with them because they have a comfortable life, and when they look at others when they have difficult life, so that means they are not good, or maybe I'm better than them. There's no such a thing of better or worse. Yes, you're grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, and a person should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all means of goodness in his life and hereafter. But since it happened, you witness what's then is my responsibility. It's not about being better in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is what makes a person better is the taqwa, is the fear of Allah, is the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then after that he said, فَمَنْ وَفَّى هَذَا الْمَشْهَدْ حَقَّهُ مَعْرِفَةً وَعُبُودِيَّةً فَقَدْ اسْتَغْنَى بِرَبِّهِ وَكَفَاهُ وَكَذَلِكَ مَنْ شَهِدَ عِلْمَهُ المحيط وسمعه وبصره وحياته وقيوميته وغيرها ولا يرزق هذا المشهد إلا السابقون المقربون. If a person really, and this is a subject that you can go on and on with it, whoever is given this knowledge-wise and ubudiyyah-wise, you're constantly in state of worship. Constantly. There's nothing that will make you away from being in state of worship, because there's always something happening. Anything, right? What the ra'd that we are hearing, the thunder, it's not just by the hitting of the clouds and that's it. These are all the means, but it's there for a reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will decree that for a reason, for people to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As it says in the Quran, يُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ مِنْ خِيفَتِهِ, that the thunder is making tasbih. You don't see it, you don't hear it, you don't understand it, but this is something that you get to know by the wahy. So when you hear that, you also you say this ayah because the Prophet used to say it, and that will remind you to make tasbih, to make ibadah. When you see the birds are making noise, you know, or anything like this, anything that is happening around us, فَمِنْ دَابَّةٍ وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَفْقَهُونَ تَسْبِيحَهُ. There is nothing unless it's making tasbih to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you don't understand it. So all the creation of Allah is in state of worship except the rebellious of the human beings. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them. For them to make the choice whether they want to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not, so that those who make that choice, they become the best of the creation of Allah. If they would make the choice to be in state of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَسْجُدُ لَهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ وَالنُّجُومُ وَالْجِبَالُ وَالشَّجَرُ وَالدَّوَابُ وَكَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ وَكَثِيرٌ حَقَّ عَلَيْهِ الْعَذَابُ وَمَنْ يُهِنِ اللَّهُ فَمَا لَهُ مِنْ مُكْرِمٍ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَفْعَلُ مَا يَشَاءُ. Which means, don't you see that everything makes sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? The sun, the moon, the trees, the animals, right? Everything, and a lot of people. So we don't see the sun and the moon making sujood and so on. This is something that we get to know from the wahy, that are in state of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not all the human beings, many of them, they choose to make the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the punishment will be on them, they have no value whatsoever. And whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala humiliate, there is no honor for them whatsoever, even if they seem to be somehow a few years on the face of earth, but there is no honor for them whatsoever, because they did not fulfill the purpose of their life. So again, this is just a brief thing. And what we need to do on our personal level is that we need to read Quran. And when we read Quran, this subject by itself should change the way that we recite the Quran. The recitation of the Quran will be pondering over its meanings and getting to know the attributes of Allah from these verses. What is meant? What is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, and how we reflect upon this so that our acts of worship is not just the physical salah or this or that, it's the whole entire life of the Muslim. Witnessing the creation of Allah and witnessing the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all things. So this is basically what he talked about when we said the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man ahsaha dakhal al-jannah." Whoever comprehended, he will enter Jannah. Living with the meanings of the names and attributes of Allah in all things there is around us. Then after that he talks about ما يضاد توحيد الأسماء والصفات ما ضد توحيد الأسماء والصفات. We talked about the names and attributes of Allah before that, the rububiyyah of Allah, the opposite of that, we talked about it, the uluhiyyah of Allah, that He's the only one worthy of worship, the opposite of that is matters of shirk. Also the names and attributes of Allah, we have to know what negates this so that we avoid it. Very briefly, it's in three kinds as he said. Ilhad al-mushrikeen, the disbelievers, those who associate partners with Allah, those who turned away from the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They added to it some names, they took away some names, they even took some of the names of Allah and they attributed to their idols, like Al-Lat wal-Uzza, right? Al-Lat from Al-Ilah, wal-Uzza from Al-Aziz, wa Manara from Al-Mannan. So they took some of the names of Allah and they referred it to some of the idols, the images that they built. The second type is Al-Had al-Mushabbiha, those who would take the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make it similar to the names or the attributes of the human beings. Right? So they made the creator like the creation. Those who would worship prophets, those who worship Jesus for example, or those who would say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like this or like that. So make it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like the creation of Allah. And the third type is those who would deny the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and either they deny it completely, and they are disbelievers because they're denying what's in the wahy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they would distort the meaning of it, and this is one of the forms of denying it because they are not believing in it exactly the way it was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They thought that they're doing a good thing so that they would stay away from thinking that they would resemble any of these attributes to the human being, so they would distort the meanings of it. Right? As many of these attributes that they changed the meanings of it with the good intention, but that's not enough. It would not be enough for them. They need to believe in the names of Allah the way it is. And as we mentioned before, the problem is that people fall into the tashbih first. Tashbih is when you say it's similar to. So you hear one of the attributes of Allah, right? As-Sami'. So the person in his mind, if he falls into the tashbih, that he would say that means he's similar to the hearing of the human being. So what happens to a good person doesn't have knowledge? You say, "A'udhu billah, there's no way, this is not like the human being." So you say, no, it's not really Sami'. He's not the all-hearer. It just means that he is accept the rewards from the people, things like this. So then he would distort the meaning of the attribute of Allah out of thinking that this is a good thing, because he wants to exalt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he would fall into this deviation which negates the belief in the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why those who believed in only 7 of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Ash'ari for example, right? And they denied the rest. Why? Just the same way that you believe in the 7, believe in the rest. If you believe in the Sam'a, al-Basar, al-Irada, al-Ilm, and so on, all these different things, you believe in all of them. The human beings, they have knowledge, the human beings, they have hearing, and they have sight, and so on. So why don't you say that this is like the human beings? And say, no, it's nothing is the like of Allah. Take the same rule and apply it to all the names and attributes of Allah. Don't just pick and choose the things that you as a deficient human being would think that this will be okay and this is not okay. Where is that in the sayings of the Prophet ﷺ? Where is that in the understanding of the Sahaba? They believed in all the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way it is, without resemblance and without all of these distortions. So we'll stop inshallah at this point. But again, this first point that we talked about, it's something that if we give it more time, it it becomes really enjoyable. This is on a personal level that we need to do this with the names and attributes of Allah.